California. There's two big components. The first is that to have people sleeping out on our streets at these unprecedented levels is not fair or humane to California citizens that are in most desperate need of our help. We need to reinstitute the California state institutions to take indigent people in. This means that if Californians are on our streets and they can no longer care for themselves, they must be brought into state institutions where they can get the mental health services they need, where they can get the substance abuse counseling they need, where they can have a roof over their head and get back on their feet if they're capable of doing that.
I think we have to do a lot more to try to intercede with people. Instead of locking them up in the most expensive prison system in the world, let's try to get them some help and support and scaffolding, and especially women and children and veterans and those who have mental challenges that can be addressed.
If we're going to address homelessness, we're going to have to address the fact that we're going to have to build more local mental health facilities in communities. Maybe not giant hospitals, but mental health facilities. And yes, I think we're going to have to, I'm a big believer in individual rights, but we're going to have to look at how you can commit some people who obviously need the help.
We put out a brain health plan. I refer to this in the context of brain health. Only 24 counties out of 58 have any comprehensive mental health services. It's predicated on first episode focus. It's predicated on early intervention. We begin the plan by saying the focus is on preventing mental health before we punish mental health, and focusing on the fact that over half the incidences are identified before the age of 14, 75% before the age of 24. So it's a focus on screening, on prevention, intervention. The coercion side is on the back end. It's a point of our failure in the system. And so our focus is on prioritizing those interventions early as opposed to punishing and getting into these complicated conversations in the back end.
I think we need to get people care. But we need to get people care that moves them from illness to some reasonable semblance of health. I happen to have some experience with mental illness in my family, and so I know that you can't cure schizophrenia to some degree, or there's some academic discussion about that. Again, I'm not an expert on this, but you can make it functioning, and you can transition people from being on the street to being somewhat productive. That's an element, by the way, of the homeless situation that needs to be dealt with. I do not agree with state-run institutions. I think the state should enforce its vagrancy laws, and by doing that, I think it would be a compulsion.
I don't want to abridge the freedoms of those individuals, but we have to do more so that people, right, we're opening up a little bit, the loved ones and others are reporting people who are in those type of conditions. I don't know where the defining line is, but what we have today is not acceptable. The numbers are growing hand over fist, and so how we encourage the advocates, the representatives, as to what they believe we can do to bring people into treatment who are in dire need needs to be revisited.